and again, it was in amongst a lot of other guests, and she was very friendly, and no, it was fine.
She's very welcoming. She knew it was.
Prince William and Kate Middleton have faced scandals, media storms, and public pressure. But nothing prepared them for this deeply personal moment involving their daughter, Princess Charlotte. Insiders say it happened quietly. One day she was clinging to Kate's coat, the next she stepped forward with poise and confidence that left even her parents stunned. William was visibly emotional, Kate deeply moved. This wasn't a public spectacle or royal event. It was a subtle moment of realization. Charlotte isn't just growing up, she's becoming a composed, thoughtful presence within the royal family. Once known for her cheeky smiles and picture-perfect outfits, Charlotte is now earning attention for her maturity and grace. Even her parents admit they didn't expect this transformation so soon. For Kate, it signaled how quickly her daughter is mastering royal life. For William, it was a rare emotional moment few ever see from the future king. What sparked this shift, and what could it mean for the future of the monarchy? The answers lie in the story of one unexpected transformation that's not just shaping the destiny of a young princess, but redefining what it means to grow up royal in the modern world. Stay with us, because what happened next inside the palace left even the most stoic insiders stunned. And by the end of this story, you might just understand why William and Kate couldn't hold back their tears. To the world, Prince William is the future King of England. But to one little girl, he's simply Papa. And that quiet nickname exchange isn't the only secret these two share. The relationship between Prince William and Princess Charlotte is one built on warmth, laughter, and a connection that runs deeper than royal titles or public duties. While most people focus on William's responsibilities as heir to the throne, those closest to the family say his proudest role is being a father, especially to Charlotte, the child who in many ways mirrors his quieter, more thoughtful side. At official events, it's easy to miss the subtleties. Cameras focus on the pageantry, but watch closely and you'll see it. The glance William gives when Charlotte walks ahead confidently, the way he lowers himself to her eye level when speaking, or the gentle hand he places on her back during a crowded engagement. These aren't rehearsed gestures for public approval. They're instinctive, fatherly, and full of love. And then there's the nickname. According to a former palace aide, William has long used a private nickname for Charlotte, Lottie. But that's not all. In more intimate moments, especially when Charlotte was younger, William is said to have affectionately called her mignonette, a French term of endearment meaning little darling or sweet, delicate one. It's not shouted across rooms or used in press releases. It's whispered, quiet, sacred. These nicknames aren't just cute. They're powerful reminders that behind the polished royal image is a father deeply in tune with his daughter. And perhaps that's why Charlotte has always shown a unique bond with William. While she shares her mother's grace, her connection with her father is defined by unspoken understanding. A simple look exchanged between them can say more than any speech. Insiders say that William sees a version of himself in Charlotte, not necessarily in personality, but in experience. He knows what it means to grow up in a palace. He knows the pressure, the expectations, and the loneliness that can come with it. That's why he's so intentional about giving Charlotte something he often lacked growing up: emotional grounding. It's not uncommon to hear laughter coming from behind Kensington Palace walls. William is known for his dry, cheeky humor, and Charlotte, according to family friends, matches him beat for beat. She's the one who giggles at his dad jokes, teases him back, and keeps things light even during the most serious royal events. That shared sense of humor has become their secret language, one that not even royal protocol can touch. But what's even more touching is the way William defers to Charlotte in small ways. At a recent garden event, royal watchers noted how William stepped aside slightly to let Charlotte engage first with a group of children. It was a small gesture, but it spoke volumes. He trusts her. He sees her as capable, even at a young age. There's a tenderness in the way he supports her, without overshadowing her. And that balance between guidance and freedom is shaping Charlotte into someone who carries both confidence and compassion. And so, when the moment of Charlotte's transformation finally arrived, when she stepped out, not as the shy child by her mother's side, but as her own person, it hit William hard. He wasn't just watching his daughter grow up, he was watching a new version of her emerge, one that needed less of his hand and more of his faith. For a father who's walked the tightrope of royal life since childhood, that realization was everything. And in that moment, as Charlotte took one more step into her future, William felt it in the way only a father could. A quiet heartbreak, a swelling pride, and yes, a tear he didn't expect. There are moments in parenthood that arrive without warning. 1 second you're brushing crumbs from your child's shirt. The next you're standing in awe, realizing they don't need your help anymore. For Kate Middleton, that moment came on a crisp spring afternoon at the Chelsea Flower Show. It was supposed to be a routine engagement. William and Kate had unveiled a garden inspired by their children's outdoor adventures. A mix of natural textures, secret hideaways, and sensory details designed for exploration. The setting was personal, low pressure, even fun. But what happened that day left Kate quietly stunned. Princess Charlotte didn't just attend the event, she took ownership of it. In front of cameras, dignitaries, and guests, Charlotte asked questions, explained parts of the garden, and engaged with other children with a level of confidence that caught even her parents off guard. There was no nervous glance toward Kate for reassurance, no tug on William's hand. She moved with an ease that suggested not just comfort, but presence. Kate, watching from a short distance, was visibly moved. Her expression, according to one lip-reading royal watcher, softened into something between shock and admiration. It wasn't that she didn't believe Charlotte could do it, it was the realization that she was already doing it. That subtle but undeniable transformation from a little girl to a poised young individual happened right in front of her. Later, a close friend of the family shared that the car ride home was unusually quiet. Kate had tears in her eyes, not from sadness, but from recognition that her daughter was growing up, not in slow motion, but in leaps. This was more than just a single event. It was a signal. Charlotte had reached a new chapter, one where she no longer needed to be shielded at every turn, one where she was beginning to shape how the public saw her, not as an extension of her parents, but as Charlotte. What made the moment even more powerful was how Kate responded. She didn't step in, she didn't correct or coach, she simply watched, letting her daughter take up space, command attention, and find her voice. It's a reflection of Kate's parenting philosophy, subtle, supportive, and deeply intentional. She has always made it clear that her children should experience a childhood that is as normal as possible, despite the titles and public scrutiny. And that includes giving them room to grow, even if it means stepping aside during moments of independence. What Kate witnessed that day wasn't a performance. It wasn't rehearsed, it was real, and it stayed with her. In the weeks that followed, insiders noticed a quiet shift in how Charlotte carried herself at other events. Her posture straighter, her voice more assertive when she spoke. No longer clinging to the edges of royal appearances, she stood at the center with a quiet but unmistakable confidence. It was the kind of change that happens when a child not only feels supported, but trusted. Kate's role in that turning point can't be overstated. She had spent years preparing Charlotte, not for a perfect royal act, but for moments like this, moments when character reveals itself naturally. Moments when confidence isn't forced, but earned. And when that moment finally came, it caught everyone off guard, including the woman who knew her daughter best. It's said that after the event, Kate looked through old photos of Charlotte, ones from school runs, playdates, and bath time hair-drying sessions. And for a brief moment, the Duchess wasn't a public figure. She was just a mother, processing the quiet ache that comes with watching your child step into themselves. For Kate, The transformation wasn't just something to witness, it was something to feel deeply, and it changed her too. In any family, birth order has a strange way of shaping roles, but inside the walls of Kensington Palace, something unexpected has been happening. Despite being the middle child, Princess Charlotte has quietly emerged as the steadying force among her siblings. A natural leader not by demand, but by example. To most of the world, Prince George is the future king. Prince Louis, the adorable youngest. But those who've seen the family behind closed doors often point to Charlotte as the one who keeps everyone grounded. She's not loud or commanding, but she has a presence that guides the room. And her siblings, even the oldest, have taken notice. Insiders have affectionately referred to her as the Louis Whisperer. The youngest of the Cambridge children, Louis is full of energy and curiosity. At royal events, his cheeky grins and spontaneous antics often steal the spotlight. But it's Charlotte who brings the calm. Whether it's a quick glance, a whispered word, or a light touch on his shoulder, she seems to instinctively know how to help him refocus without drawing attention to herself or making a scene. One unforgettable example came during the Queen's Platinum Jubilee celebrations. While Louis playfully covered his ears and pulled faces on the Buckingham Palace balcony, Charlotte leaned over, gave him a soft nudge, and whispered something in his ear. Louis settled down almost instantly. She didn't scold him. She simply reminded him, in the way only a sister can, that this moment mattered. But her influence doesn't end with Louis. Prince George, despite being the eldest, often looks to Charlotte in subtle ways. During school drop-offs or public appearances, you'll notice that if Charlotte moves forward to greet someone, George follows. If Charlotte stands with her hands folded or her feet properly positioned, George mirrors her posture. It's not a sign of weakness, it's trust. Charlotte's calm gives him permission to be calm too. At a recent Easter service, royal watchers observed a telling moment. As the family approached the church, Charlotte gave George a small nod, barely noticeable to most. George then stepped forward first, guiding Louis with a hand on his back. It was a moment of smooth choreography, and Charlotte was its quiet conductor. The beauty of Charlotte's leadership lies in its subtlety. She doesn't try to control the spotlight, nor does she act like she's in charge. Instead, her strength comes from her emotional awareness, a trait that royal staff say reminds them of Princess Diana. She's got this calming aura, one palace insider shared. It's like she knows how to read the room, even at her age. That's rare. What's even more remarkable is how this dynamic has shaped William and Kate's approach to parenting. Watching Charlotte naturally care for and guide her brothers has encouraged them to let their children grow into their own rhythms. Rather than placing royal expectation on George and hoping the younger two follow suit, they've begun supporting each child's strengths, and Charlotte's leadership is central to that evolution. At home, it's said that Charlotte is the one who reminds Louis to put away his toys, or tells George when it's time to get ready for dinner. Not bossy, just organized, and always with kindness. Her sense of responsibility isn't forced, it's who she is. In a family constantly under the microscope, where every smile or stumble becomes front-page news, having a sibling like Charlotte is a gift. For George and Louis, she's more than a sister. She's a stabilizer, a guide, and perhaps the most emotionally intelligent member of the trio. And as she continues to grow, her quiet leadership is only becoming more visible. Not with titles or speeches, but with presence. Sometimes the most powerful leaders are the ones who never announce themselves. Charlotte just leads, and her brothers follow. For years, Princess Charlotte was seen as the spirited little royal, with playful expressions and perfectly pressed coats. But somewhere between her toddler waves and recent public appearances, something changed, and everyone noticed. The moment that confirmed it came during one of the most solemn events in modern royal history, the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II. Dressed in black, standing between her older brother and mother, Charlotte looked every bit the part of a royal. But it wasn't just her outfit or her composure. it was her presence. As the procession moved forward, Charlotte curtsied with dignity and grace far beyond her years. It wasn't coached or mechanical. It was instinctive. Her chin was lifted, her posture steady, and her movements full of quiet reverence. It was a gesture not just of respect for her great-grandmother, but of understanding the moment's weight. And the world took notice. Social media erupted with praise, not just from royal watchers, but from everyday people who were stunned by how composed she appeared. "She carried herself like a young queen," one commenter wrote. "You could tell she got it." That single gesture, graceful and grounded, became a symbol of a bigger transformation. Princess Charlotte was no longer just the cute royal child, smiling for cameras. She was stepping into something larger, with poise that many adults struggle to summon. But this transformation didn't begin at a funeral. It had been building for years in quiet moments and subtle appearances, like when she confidently walked hand in hand with Prince George into their new school at Thomas's Battersea, or when she greeted officials with a firm handshake and eye contact at the Commonwealth Games. Each moment, small on its own, began to form a pattern. Charlotte wasn't just learning how to act royal, she was becoming someone who embodied those values naturally, without losing her youthful charm. One royal insider noted, "She's got this calm energy. She's still a child, yes, but she already knows when it's time to play and when it's time to stand tall." That's a rare trait at her age. Another standout appearance was at Wimbledon, where Charlotte joined her parents to watch the women's final. Cameras caught her clapping politely, leaning in to discuss points with Kate, and smiling graciously when acknowledged by other guests. It was a far cry from the typical restlessness you'd expect from a young girl in a formal setting. She was present, polite, and poised, effortlessly. It's not just the public who've been impressed. Even seasoned royal photographers have commented on how easy Charlotte is to work with. "She knows exactly when to smile, when to look at the camera, and when to let the moment happen," said one veteran palace photographer. "It's like she's got an internal clock for timing." What makes all this so extraordinary is the balance Charlotte manages to strike. She isn't overtrained or robotic. She still laughs freely, makes silly faces at her brothers, and twirls her hair when she's bored. But when the spotlight demands it, she rises with grace. And not because she has to, but because she's ready. This blend of maturity and youth is what makes Charlotte's transformation so captivating. It's not just that she's becoming a public figure, it's that she's doing it on her own terms, with a natural rhythm that doesn't feel forced. Her poise isn't rehearsed, it's revealed. And perhaps that's why the public is falling in love with her all over again. Because in a monarchy often criticized for being too stiff or too staged, Charlotte brings something fresh, authenticity wrapped in elegance. She's growing up royal, but she's also growing up real. And that rare combination has left both palace insiders and the world watching with quiet admiration. Princess Charlotte's quiet confidence, her graceful posture, and her emotional intelligence didn't come out of nowhere. Behind every poised appearance is a mother whose influence is often invisible to the public, but incredibly powerful behind palace walls. Kate Middleton isn't just a duchess, a princess, or a future queen consort. She is, first and foremost, a hands-on mother, and the results of her deeply intentional parenting are on full display in the way Charlotte carries herself today. Unlike generations before her, Kate hasn't relied on royal nannies or distant advisors to shape her children's behavior. Instead, she's adopted a more modern, emotionally aware approach, one rooted in patience, consistency, and what those close to her call quiet empowerment. It's a style of parenting that blends royal expectations with real-world grounding. A perfect example came at Wimbledon. Charlotte looked a little overwhelmed by the noise, the crowds, and the intense focus of the cameras. Instead of stepping in with a stiff correction or shielding her daughter, Kate gently leaned over, tucked Charlotte's hair behind her ear, and whispered something reassuring. Whatever she said worked. Charlotte immediately relaxed, sat taller, and returned to enjoying the match. That's Kate's approach in a nutshell. calm, timely, and deeply attuned to what her child needs in that exact moment. Insiders say Kate never forces the royal script on her children. Instead, she introduces them to public life gradually, helping them understand what to expect, while also reminding them that their feelings matter. She doesn't prepare Charlotte to perform, one family friend explained. She prepares her to be herself, even when all eyes are watching. At home, the Duchess is known to maintain routines that promote balance, things like home-cooked meals, screen-free playtime, and emotional check-ins after school. Despite their royal status, the children are taught to make their own beds, take turns setting the table, and speak respectfully not just to adults, but to each other. Kate's parenting also emphasizes empathy. She encourages Charlotte to listen, observe, and think before she speaks, skills that have clearly translated into her behavior in public. When Charlotte offers her hand to Louis or helps George during a formal event, those are not stage-managed moments. They're reflections of daily life at home. Another key to Charlotte's growth is the value Kate places on independence. When Charlotte started school, Kate didn't linger too long or over-direct her. She gave a goodbye kiss, let her daughter walk through the gates, and trusted that she was ready. That subtle act sent a loud message: "I believe in you." And Charlotte, in turn, has begun believing in herself. But perhaps what sets Kate apart most is how she handles pressure. In a family where generations have been raised under intense scrutiny, Kate has made it her mission to protect her children from the weight of expectation. She doesn't talk about the crown, the throne, or royal duties in rigid terms. Instead, she speaks about kindness, purpose, and personal identity. Whether Charlotte grows up to take on a royal title or forge a path outside the palace, Kate is preparing her to choose, not to be chosen for. This is a departure from traditional royal parenting, which often emphasized duty over emotion. Kate, by contrast, blends both. She's raising Charlotte to respect her heritage, yes, but also to respect herself. And it shows. In every graceful wave, in every thoughtful glance toward her brothers, in every moment where she steps forward without fear, Charlotte is reflecting the lessons her mother taught her, not through speeches, but through daily action. Kate's influence isn't flashy or obvious. It's woven into the fabric of Charlotte's character, steady, graceful, and unshakably real. Because sometimes the most powerful parenting doesn't happen in front of the cameras. It happens in the quiet, everyday moments that no one else sees. For generations, royal children were born into roles already written for them: rigid titles, rehearsed appearances, and a destiny bound tightly to tradition. But for Princess Charlotte, the future isn't a script, it's a canvas. From the outside, she may seem like any other young royal, attending formal events, walking in line behind her parents, and mastering royal protocol with surprising grace. But behind the scenes, William and Kate are quietly redefining what it means to grow up royal. And Charlotte is at the center of that change. Unlike previous royal daughters, Charlotte is being raised with options. Sources close to the family reveal that William and Kate are committed to giving their daughter the freedom to explore a wide range of paths, both inside and outside palace walls. This isn't about rebellion, it's about preparation. While Charlotte may carry a princess title, her parents are determined she won't be limited by it. She's already receiving an education that stretches far beyond standard royal curriculum. There are rumors that she's been introduced to multiple languages from a young age, including French and Spanish. She's also reportedly shown interest in problem-solving games, storytelling, and science-based activities. These aren't just hobbies, they're building blocks for independence. And it goes even further than that. Palace insiders suggest that Charlotte may be receiving early training in unexpected areas: diplomacy, negotiation, and even self-defense. Tactical driving and basic situational awareness are also said to be part of a broader plan to prepare the young royal for a world where public figures, especially female ones, must be aware of their surroundings at all times. Is it intense for someone so young? Maybe, but this isn't about turning Charlotte into a soldier. It's about giving her the tools to navigate a world where power and scrutiny are constant companions. William and Kate have made it clear that they won't box their daughter into the role of the spare. In fact, they refuse to raise her in anyone's shadow. Not George's, not Louis's, and not even Diana's legacy. Charlotte is being shaped to become her own person, not a royal stereotype. And if that means a life outside the monarchy someday, so be it. Both William and Kate have hinted in interviews that they want their children to pursue lives with purpose, whether that's within royal duties or far from them. If Charlotte grows up and decides to become a writer, a scientist, or even a teacher, her parents are prepared to support that path. This flexible mindset marks a dramatic shift in royal culture. In decades past, deviation from duty was seen as a scandal. Now it's seen as growth. And Charlotte is growing up at the heart of that transformation. But don't mistake this freedom for a lack of structure. Charlotte is still being taught the value of heritage, responsibility, and public service. She curtsies with respect, greets dignitaries with eye contact, and understands the privilege of her position. The difference is, she's being taught those things with context, not as obligations, but as opportunities to make a difference, if she chooses. It's a delicate balance, and one Kate and William are carefully walking. Charlotte is learning how to serve without being sacrificed, how to lead without being forced, how to be royal without being defined by royalty. And through it all, she remains just a little girl, attending ballet lessons, reading books with her brothers, and asking questions at dinner that make her parents laugh, think, and sometimes tear up. The world sees a princess. William and Kate see a daughter with endless possibilities. And as Charlotte continues to grow, carrying the weight of a crown she may never wear, she's doing so with something rare in royal bloodlines: the freedom to choose her future. Not because the monarchy is changing her, but because she's quietly changing the monarchy. It wasn't the royal titles, the ceremonies, or the public applause that moved Prince William to tears. It was something much simpler, much more human. It was watching his daughter, his little Charlotte, become someone entirely her own. In a family where every move is choreographed and every word scrutinized, Princess Charlotte's transformation has been anything but calculated. It's been real, gradual, and deeply emotional for those closest to her, especially for William, who has spent his entire life in the royal spotlight and knows exactly how heavy that crown can feel, even when it's still years away. To see Charlotte handle herself with grace at public events, to witness her quietly guide her brothers, and to recognize her steady growth into a confident, kind young person. It's all been overwhelming in the best way. For Kate, it's been a journey of letting go. For William, it's been a reminder of how fleeting childhood is, especially under the harsh lens of public life. But perhaps the most powerful part of Charlotte's story isn't just her transformation, it's what it represents. A new kind of royal, one raised with intention, with heart, with the freedom to laugh, to lead, and to live as more than just a symbol. And as William wiped away that unexpected tear, it wasn't because he feared what was ahead. It was because, in that moment, he knew his daughter wasn't just growing up, she was becoming herself, and the world was lucky enough to witness it.